Have you ever wondered why some decisions bring lasting peace while others leave us questioning ourselves for years? What if the difference has very little to do with intelligence, experience, or even opportunity? Before every defining moment of his ministry, Jesus consistently demonstrated a way of living that flowed from something deeper than emotion or impulse. Hidden within the Aramaic language is a remarkable word that reveals the foundation beneath every truly wise decision. That word is KUSHTA, and once you understand its original meaning, you may discover that finding your purpose has never been about searching harder. It has always been about seeing more clearly. Today, you'll uncover why Jesus placed truth before action, and why that ancient principle could completely transform the way you make every important decision in your life. Whenever Jesus taught the crowds, healed the sick, or spoke privately to his disciples, he did so primarily in Aramaic, the everyday language of the people who walked beside him through the villages of Galilee and Judea. While Greek dominated commerce and Roman administration, and Hebrew remained the language of sacred reading, Aramaic carried the heartbeat of daily life. It was the language in which children learned from their parents, neighbors encouraged one another, and ordinary people encountered extraordinary truth. This makes the original Aramaic words of Jesus far more than historical details. They are windows into the way. He understood reality itself. In the ancient world, Aramaic words were believed to carry more than definitions. Their sounds were understood to express intention, conviction, and living spiritual reality. Many early traditions taught that when Jesus pronounced these words, he was not simply communicating information. He was awakening something within those who listened. The sound itself was believed to carry determination, vibration, and energy, reconnecting the listener with the Creator's original design. This is why many people today seek to rediscover these original expressions. They believe that speaking them as Jesus spoke them is a way of remembering who we were before fear, confusion, and illusion began shaping our lives. I returned to what some describe as our original spiritual DNA. Among these extraordinary words is KUSHTA, apron, KOOSHTA, which means truth, authenticity, or that which is real. Yet in Aramaic, truth is not merely the opposite of a lie. KUSHTA describes reality as God sees it, untouched by fear, appearances, or temporary circumstances. It is the solid foundation beneath every wise decision. It is the quiet certainty that remains when emotions rise and fall, when public opinion changes, and when the future appears uncertain. This sheds new light on the life of Jesus. Before choosing his disciples, before entering difficult conversations, before responding to opposition, and before embracing the path that would ultimately lead to the cross, he never reacted impulsively. Everything he did flowed from perfect alignment with the Father's truth. The Gospel of Luke repeatedly shows Jesus withdrawing to pray before decisive moments, revealing that clarity always preceded action. That inner alignment is the living essence of KUSHTA. Perhaps this is the greatest lesson hidden within the word. Most people ask, "What should I do?" But Jesus first demonstrated a different question. What is true? Because when truth becomes your foundation, decisions stop being driven by fear, pressure, or urgency. They begin flowing naturally from purpose. And once you understand that difference, you'll realize that many of the choices that seem confusing today may never have been missing information. They have simply been waiting for the light of KUSHTA. If KUSHTA pronounced KUSHTA, meaning truth, authenticity, or that which is real, was the foundation beneath the life of Jesus. Why do so many of us struggle to recognize our own purpose? Perhaps because we have been taught to make decisions based on urgency rather than truth. We ask what is fastest instead of what is faithful. We ask what is safest instead of what is right. We ask what other people expect instead of what God may already be revealing within us. Little by little, the noise around us becomes louder than the quiet voice of truth. Think about how many important decisions are made under pressure. A career is chosen because it promises security. A relationship is pursued because loneliness feels unbearable. Opportunities are accepted because they seem impossible to refuse. None of these choices are necessarily wrong, but when fear becomes the primary motivation, even a good opportunity can lead us away from our true purpose. Jesus never allowed urgency to replace discernment. Every important step flowed from KUSHTA, not from external pressure. Imagine trying to navigate a ship during a violent storm. If the captain watches only the crashing waves, every movement feels chaotic. But if he fixes his eyes on the stars, the direction remains clear, even while the sea continues to rage. KUSHTA works in the same way. It becomes the fixed point that remains unchanged while circumstances constantly shift. Careers may change. Relationships may evolve. Seasons of life may come and go. But truth remains constant because it originates from God rather than from temporary situations. One reason many people never discover their purpose is that they confuse excitement with calling. Excitement rises quickly and often disappears just as fast. Calling grows quietly. It survives disappointment, criticism, delays, and uncertainty because it is rooted in something deeper than emotion. This is why Jesus could continue walking toward his purpose, even when misunderstood, rejected, or opposed. His decisions were never sustained by feelings alone. They were sustained by truth. Perhaps you are facing a decision today that seems impossible to make. Maybe you've been asking God for a sign while overlooking something more important, before looking outward for confirmation. Perhaps the invitation is to look inward and ask whether your heart is already aligned with KUSHTA. When truth becomes clear, many difficult decisions become surprisingly simple. They may not become easier, but they become unmistakably right. And this raises an even greater question. If truth has always been available, what keeps so many sincere people from recognizing it? In the next chapter, you'll discover the invisible barrier that often separates people from their true purpose and why Jesus continually warned his followers about it. If this teaching already feels this deep, imagine having a full guide with deeper explanations of JESUS's true teachings in Aramaic. You'll find the link to the study guide in the comments. And the best is yet to come. In the next chapters, you'll discover what could change everything for you. One of the greatest obstacles to discovering purpose is not ignorance. It is illusion. Most people assume illusion means believing something that is obviously false. But spiritual illusion is far more subtle. It happens whenever fear disguises itself as wisdom, whenever comfort disguises itself as peace, or whenever public approval disguises itself as purpose. Without realizing it, we begin following voices that sound convincing but slowly lead us away from the life we were created to live. This is precisely why Jesus emphasized inner transformation before outward action. KUSHTA pronounced, meaning truth, or that which is real, calls us to see beyond appearances. It invites us to recognize reality from God's perspective rather than through the changing emotions of the moment. When KUSHTA becomes the lens through which we view life, many of the fears that once seemed overwhelming begin losing their authority. Think about how often comparison influences decisions. Someone else's success makes us question our own path. Another person's achievements create the illusion that we are falling behind. Social expectations quietly become our compass instead of God's direction. Yet Jesus never compared his calling to anyone else's. He never hurried because others expected him to move faster. He never delayed because others doubted him. His confidence came from knowing the Father's truth, not from measuring himself against the opinions of the crowd. This lesson is deeply relevant today. Many people spend years searching for purpose while constantly changing direction because they are reacting to external circumstances rather than responding to inner conviction. Every new trend appears to promise fulfillment. Every new opportunity seems like the missing answer. But purpose is rarely discovered by chasing what is new. More often, it is uncovered by remaining faithful to what is eternally true. That is the quiet strength of KUSHTA. Imagine removing every expectation that other people have placed upon your life. Imagine setting aside every fear of failure, every desire to impress, and every pressure to prove your worth. What would remain? According to the teaching hidden within KUSHTA, what remains is where purpose begins. Not the version of yourself shaped by anxiety, but the person God intended from the beginning. In the next chapter, you'll discover why Jesus never treated purpose as a destination to reach. Instead, he revealed it as a way of living that transforms every decision, every relationship, and every ordinary day long before the world notices the results. One of the most remarkable characteristics of Jesus was that he never allowed his purpose to be defined by circumstances. Crowds could praise him one day and reject him the next, yet his direction never changed. Why? because his life was anchored in KUSHTA pronounce, meaning truth, authenticity, or that which is real. He understood that purpose does not depend on how people respond to us. It depends on remaining aligned with God's truth, even when the path becomes difficult to understand. Many people postpone their calling because they are waiting for perfect certainty. They believe that one day every question will disappear, every obstacle will be removed, and every fear will finally be gone. But Jesus never taught that clarity comes from controlling the future. He demonstrated that clarity comes from trusting the one who already knows the future. The more we seek KUSHTA, the less we become controlled by the endless need to predict every outcome before taking the next faithful step. Imagine walking through a dense forest before sunrise. You cannot see the entire journey ahead, yet the small light in your hand reveals enough for the next few steps. You continue walking, and with every step the path becomes visible again. Purpose works much the same way. God rarely reveals the whole journey at once. Instead, He provides enough light for today's obedience. Those who insist on seeing the entire road often remain standing still, while those who trust His truth continue moving forward one faithful decision at a time. This may explain why so many people spend years searching for purpose without recognizing that they are already standing beside it. They expect purpose to arrive as one dramatic revelation, when more often it grows through daily faithfulness. Every honest conversation, every act of kindness, every decision made with integrity, every moment of courage quietly shapes the life God is building within us. Great callings are rarely born from spectacular moments alone. They are built through thousands of ordinary choices made under the guidance of KUSHTA. When truth becomes your compass, comparison begins losing its power. You no longer measure your progress against someone else's timeline. You stop asking whether your journey looks impressive to the world and begin asking whether it remains faithful to the one who called you. That shift changes everything. It replaces pressure with peace, competition with purpose, and uncertainty with quiet confidence. Purpose is no longer something you desperately chase. It becomes something you faithfully live. Right now, you might be asking yourself, why am I only discovering this truth now? Don't worry, we thought about that. We're here to help you go deeper with a guide made for this journey. The link is in the comments. Perhaps the greatest misunderstanding about purpose is believing that it is primarily about what we accomplish. Jesus revealed something entirely different. Before purpose becomes visible through our actions, it must first become established within our character. This is why His ministry was never driven by popularity, urgency, or public approval. It was guided by unwavering alignment with the Father's will. Everything He accomplished flowed naturally from who He already was. This is the profound invitation hidden inside KUSHTA pronounced KUSHTA, meaning truth, or that which is real. It calls us to stop building our identity upon temporary roles and begin building it upon eternal truth. Careers may change. Seasons of life will certainly change. Opportunities come and go. But the person you become while walking with God remains your greatest achievement. When identity is rooted in truth, purpose stops feeling fragile because it is no longer dependent on changing circumstances. Think about the moments when you have felt most alive. It was probably not because everything around you was perfect. More often, it was because your actions reflected something deeply authentic within you. There was peace between your heart, your convictions, and your choices. That harmony is one of the clearest expressions of KUSHTA. It is the quiet confidence that arises when your life begins reflecting God's truth instead of constantly reacting to the expectations of others. Many people spend years asking God to reveal a completely different future, while overlooking the opportunities He has already placed before them today. Yet throughout the Gospels, Jesus continually showed that faithfulness in the present prepares us for greater responsibility in the future. Purpose is rarely discovered by waiting. It is uncovered while serving, growing, learning, and remaining faithful where God has already placed us. Every small act of obedience becomes another step toward the life He has prepared. Perhaps your purpose is closer than you imagine. Perhaps it has never been hidden from God at all. Perhaps the only thing standing between you and greater clarity is the willingness to live each day under the guidance of KUSHTA, rather than under the influence of fear, comparison, or uncertainty. When truth becomes your foundation, purpose is no longer something you anxiously search for. It becomes the natural fruit of a life aligned with the heart of God. In our final chapter, we'll transform this ancient teaching into a practical daily transformation protocol. You'll discover how to cultivate KUSHTA every morning so that truth becomes more than an inspiring idea, becomes the compass that quietly guides every important decision you make. The purpose Jesus revealed was never something to be discovered once and then forgotten. It was a way of living that had to be renewed every day. That is why KUSHTA pronounced KUSHTA, meaning truth, authenticity, or that which is real, is not simply an ancient word to admire. It is a daily invitation to choose God's reality over fear, confusion, and appearances. Every morning presents a new opportunity to ask not, "What do I want today?" but, "What is true today?" That single question can quietly transform every decision that follows. For the next 21 days, begin each morning before checking your phone or planning your schedule. Sit quietly for 1 minute and take 3 slow breaths. Then speak KUSHTA KUSHTA ka, truth, that which is real, 7 times with intention. As you pronounce the word, ask God to remove every illusion that has influenced your thinking and to reveal what is genuinely true about your purpose, your relationships, and the path before you. Before making any important decision during the day, pause for a few seconds and ask yourself, am I responding to fear, or am I responding to KUSHTA? This simple habit will gradually train your heart to seek truth before urgency, wisdom before emotion, and purpose before comfort. Over time, you may notice that decisions become calmer, clearer, and more consistent because they are no longer driven by pressure but by conviction. Each ebeninga. Ripi kausa. Ech tea keo. Reflect on the moments when you acted with integrity and gently release the moments when fear influenced your choices. Tomorrow is another opportunity to walk in truth. Just a quick reminder, the transformation guides for a fuller life are waiting for you, right there in the comments. Before you leave, if this message brought clarity into your life, write the word truth in the comments below. Your testimony may become the encouragement someone else has been praying for today. Thank you for sharing this moment of ancient wisdom with us. Until the next revelation, walk in peace, walk in purpose, and walk in the living power of KUSHTA KUSHTA, truth that leads every faithful step.